We want to welcome everybody as people stream in. Hopefully, many of you are meeting in groups because if not, I'm going to get blown up in about T minus like 3 minutes as we break 1,000 people on the Zoom. But I think we should be good. This will host 1,000. We didn't want to move to a webinar format because then we couldn't see all your smiling faces. So we're gonna see if this works, and we're gonna record it as well for those that may not be able to hop on, but those that were here early are in. So Ben, you want to set up what we are looking to accomplish for this morning with everybody on?
Well, we have an exciting couple weeks in store for all of you. We've created some amazing materials, spreadsheets, and tools for all of you to make sure that 2023 is truly the best year of your career. And you'll be working on these individually with each one of your teams and hearing from Chris and I over the coming weeks and months to get ready for next year. Next year is going to be amazing, but it's also going to be different. And Chris and I are going to talk a little bit about that today.
Awesome. Why don't we start really quick? We're only going to take 5 minutes, but we do this every single Friday in our organization, and I don't want to miss a Friday. Who'd like to share some gratitude as we head into our morning and spend some time together? We're going to get just a few people. Eric John, your hand is up first.
Wow. Okay. I want to do two gratitudes. First, I obviously want to express my gratitude for the entire state of you for really putting
Hold on one second. Thank you, Alina. Go ahead. Natasha, thank you. Go ahead, Eric John. I think I muted him.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, there you go. Keep going.
So, I want to express gratitude to the entire Place organization, the back end support system, and of course you guys, Chris and Ben, for putting this together, because I truly believe that this process that we're going to go through will help us to having this be the best year. I also want to just say express a quick gratitude for my team. They're working really hard. We got a new agent. She's pended over $1 million in her first month. So just really, really good stuff happening. And I'm excited for 2023 and all the roller coaster ride that comes with it.
Awesome. Love it. All right. We're going to try to rip through as many of these as possible. So try to keep these short. Brittany and then Jake.
I'd like to express gratitude for Claire, my director of operations. She's shown up a lot this year as a partner in my business and really helping me focus on getting our profitability up and growing our team. And it's just invaluable to have somebody in that role that acts like a partner in your business. So that's my biggest gratitude.
Love that. Thank you, Jake.
Want to express gratitude, Jalene, John, everyone who created those spreadsheets. They're pretty amazing. So I got to see that. Our team for putting out a productivity initiative that they came up with, and then Lacey as well for really working on the back end, making the launch and just training and scripts, organizing a lot of stuff. So
I love that. Thank you, Jake. And I just want to make sure everybody knows this would not happen without our finance team. Miranda from the finance team and many of the finance team contributed to some of the tools that you're going to see today and experience later and receive. So as much as the people that really well put in time and effort and work, and there are lots of people that you may not know personally that put in tons of time on this and sort of executed on our vision for what we wanted to deliver. Amanda?
Hey, I'm JC. This is Jennifer. The rest of the team is coming along. I just want to be thankful for this amazing team that I have. Amanda has a huge, gigantic heart, and David does too. And they are guiding us on not only at work, on production, but also in life. God is really put these people in my life, and I'm thankful for all of you. Really. All of Place is an amazing institution that you guys have built, and it's not only that is not only for KW. It makes me really happy, when we can share this with everybody. So thank you, everybody.
I love that. They have huge hearts, and in a market that is shifting and an industry that is changing, Ponce's, you'll probably see 100% growth over last year, and it's because of that heart and dedication and phenomenal people. And you're right. I love the fact that this platform extends all brands, all brokerages, and welcomes all phenomenal people to it. So we're going to get one more, Jeanette, and then we're going to have to jump in.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to quickly express gratitude for everyone at Place and everyone on my team. In the interest of time, obviously can't mention everyone, but as you said, Chris, there's so many people behind the scenes that I don't even know their names. And I know they're all contributing. I've been away for a month and 3 days, but who's counting? And it's just proof that with a really strong team, from Hillary to Zelma to every single agent, Talon, all of our leadership, and every single agent on our team is doing something. It may not always result in a contract or a commission, but they're adding value, they're building the culture, they're helping out, they're opening a door when needed. And just to say thank you seems to not even be enough. Gratitude really goes beyond that. And I just want to express to all of the people at Place and all the Place partners who I've leaned on multiple times in this transition for help. I genuinely, I don't want to cry, but I genuinely can't express how grateful I am to you for helping me to live my dream. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, I know many of us feel like thank yous are not enough, but Jeanette, they are. Just expressing gratitude and appreciation is enough, and the opportunities that we are all providing for everyone in our worlds is a thank you as well. So with that, let's jump in. We're gonna have a conversation today around how we're planning for the future, and we wanted to title this year's sort of focus as performance through partnership. Obviously, you hear Ben and I and everyone throughout the organization use that word partnership quite often, and it's because we believe in them. We believe that there is power in partnership, but we actually believe that our performance in 2023 is going to show up based on the level of partnerships that we create within our organizations and on our teams, and plugging in and helping and collaborating. Just like Jeanette said, it's from production to operations, and so everybody in our world contributes and is a partner to each other, and that actually will drive performance. But Ben, you and I have been talking a lot about how to prepare for 2023, and you know, last night you had shared like 2 sentences with me, and so we put them on a slide, and we thought, well, let's just start here. Like, let's start here as we look ahead over the next 12 months. What do these 2 sentences make you think, Ben?
Well, plans change. We've been building our business for the last couple of years in a market where, unfortunately, everybody could be successful. It was a market that made us all feel like geniuses. A lot of us got what I call the genius disease. It's where we think we're a genius, but it actually turns out we're not. We were working hard during a time that rewarded hard work in multiples, but plans change. And I knew that Chris wouldn't allow this to stay on a slide, so I changed the word. But as my mom always said, shit happens. And what's happening right now is a massive economic shift, a massive change in consumer confidence. And these are going to make ripples through the real estate industry. And Chris and I are going to start off today's call talking about the economy, because we want you to understand exactly what is changing.
Now, there's a way to tackle that change, and I believe that every one of us is here because we believe that together we can tackle that in a more effective and a more efficient and a more confident way. The only way that's going to happen is if we look at what we've done up to this point. And some of the stuff we've done, we just need to forget. We need to forget how it felt. We need to forget the results we had. We're going to look at what happened in 2021 and 2022 and realize that we just need to say thank you, and now we need to adapt, right? Like, thanks, but now let's adapt. And if we adapt, then what happens?
Honestly, we're gonna emerge as winners. In 2008, it shook the industry, it shook the world. And yet, Chris, you and I doubled our businesses in 2008. And in 2009, we doubled our businesses. And in 2010, we doubled our businesses. So what that tells me, Jeanette, is that success during hard times is a choice. We're not waking up with a real estate disease. We're waking up with a choice to do things different, to do a little bit more than we're used to, and to refine our skills so that we can win, truly win over the next year. And that's what today's call is truly about, Chris.
Yeah. So I thought we'd start this morning. First step, before we do anything, let's just get a quick reality check. Let's check in with what is really happening in the market. And we're going to start with this. We'll send this out later to just our group, but I thought maybe I'd just sort of take a quick snapshot of the latest, and by latest I mean in the last 7 days, a report that Goldman Sachs has put out, and they sent to Ben and I, and right, they have some of the greatest housing economists in the world, right? Everyone goes to them to figure out what's going on, and just this month they actually adjusted their forecast for 2022 and 2023, and they didn't adjust it in a real positive way. Like, we're not here to share rainbows and butterflies with everyone this morning. They actually lowered their forecast. They said, hey, previously we thought we were going to end 2022 about 10.7% higher than we were at the end of last year in terms of home values. They've pulled that back and said, hey, we're going to end about 7.5% higher. We've seen, by the way, most of that 7.5% already in our markets, right? Like, that is here. So ultimately what they're saying is, hey guys, fourth quarter looks flat. Now, just a month ago, they said we would end 2023 at about 0.7% higher in our home price index at the end of next year than we were this year, right? They were still assuming that we were going to see growth. And you know what they said just 7 days ago? We expect to see a pullback of 4.1%. So they went from a positive 0.7% in 2023 to saying, hey, nationally across the country, we'll probably see a pullback of 4.1%. Now, I would venture to guess that might be a little light, and that's just my opinion. But here's why. They said the main premise for this downward revision in their expectation for next year is because they expect mortgage rates will remain, quote, persistently high. Right? And that will cause unsustainable levels of housing affordability. And the only way to drive that down is by a pullback in pricing, because interest rates aren't going to start dropping in the first, second, third, fourth quarter of 2023. So that was their revision, and that's good for us to know. It doesn't mean that that's going to be the same for every market. In fact, they went out and said that now some markets may not see a pullback, but the reality is there are some what they would identify as overpriced markets, some of which you are in. They identified in their report Boise and San Diego experiencing potentially a 20% price correction over the next 12 months. And so we'll end the year at about 4.4 to 5% on average home price, lower than we were the year before. But now let's kind of dive in specifically to some specific graphs and charts. This one I think is one that we all should be aware of, and it's housing versus rental affordability index. Like, why is this important, Ben?
Well, right now, housing affordability hasn't been this bad since the early 90s, if not the 80s. Meaning, when you look at annual incomes, family income, the cost of housing, and the cost of financing, interest rates, those three things combined make affordability. And honestly, right now, affordability sucks. If you want to own a home and you want to purchase a property, it hasn't been this bad for 20, 30 years. However, what's interesting is rental costs to income have remained relatively constant. And it's one of the reasons why in tough markets, rental properties tend to do better because people stop buying, which means they need to rent, and rents actually go up a little bit during that time. So what we're seeing is we're seeing a time when people are looking up and saying, gosh, it is 40% more expensive to own a home today than it was a year ago. 40%, and that's minimum. It could be 50% or more in some markets.
Yeah, I think this is one that we're going to have to skill up around. We're going to script through. We're going to have trainings over the next 30 to 60 days on how to have this conversation when the reality is it's cheaper, right? Percentage of income to rent than to buy right now. We need to be able to have conversations of the long-term value of owning a home. And I'm going to show you a graph later that I think you should keep in front and center that will answer this sort of this data well when we're sitting down with some buyers. Pending home sales have fallen 18%. As you look at that dark blue line, I know it might be small on your screen, but that dark blue line is pending home sales. Existing home sales is that light blue line. And I never like to see that dark blue line trending lower than the light blue line, right? Because we're already feeling the market today. When we look at the last 30 to 60 to 90 days, some of us, we've been on phone calls around your pendings and closings. Well, look at what's going on in the market. Like we're actually pending fewer homes than we're closing in terms of the rate of where we're moving. So be ready. You know, Ben said probably 90 days ago that we should take our worst month and assume that that's your new average. And that doesn't mean that's going to maintain your new average for the next 12 months, because some of you would be in big trouble. But it means that if that's your new average, what would you do different moving forward? Like what needs to show up in your plan in 2023 that didn't in 2022? What needs to show up on your activity schedule in 2023 that didn't in 2022? Like this should motivate you to put this in front of you and start sketching out what you're willing to do different. Here we have the home price appreciation. Obviously, right, we're trending down. Like we're still seeing appreciation, but it's decelerating very, very fast. And we just talked just a minute ago about how that deceleration will continue through the fourth quarter into 2023 until it actually drops below that zero line. And we're going to see it at 1% negative, 2% negative, 3% negative year over year, 4% negative year over year. Now, about 30% of you have done that before. You've had those conversations before. We looked at Case-Shiller index reports for months and months and months and months. And it was negative, 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 negative. But about 2/3 of us have never been in a negative Case-Shiller report. We've never been there the first Tuesday of the month when that report hits. I'm sorry, the last Tuesday of the month when the report hits and thought to yourself, well, what's the media going to say about it this time? Like what news are my clients going to get this time? So we have to be prepared for that data. This is something that Ben, you were just talking about. The affordability, since we started counting, is the lowest on record, right? So Ben was saying, hey, in the 80s, it was bad as well. We just weren't tracking affordability like we do now. But for as long as we have been tracking true housing affordability index, this is the lowest it's been. Now, I'd love your take, Ben, but here's what's so interesting about this. One of the greatest contributors to inflation is housing costs. Right? So that's driving inflation up. The government says, gosh, we need to get inflation down. So let's increase interest rates. Well, what does that do to housing costs? Unless the home price comes down, inflation isn't going to get fixed in the housing sector by increasing interest rates, because it actually pushes the price or the cost and what we're spending on housing up. So by design, it's intended to push value down a little bit to get control of inflation. But this gives you an idea of how affordability was in 13 and 14 and 19 and 20 and when interest rates were 2.8. Man, like everybody could buy a home. And we have to remember that 100 index is, hey, the average or the median income, could it afford a home? Yeah, 100% of households could. And you look and it went to 110, 120, 130. We've seen it at 148, 49. And now look at it. It's under 70. That index is under 70 for affordability. It's why some of our buyers that were sitting in your database ready to buy when we weren't calling them are no longer buyers, which means we have to get through those databases and make more calls. Anything else you'd share, Ben?
No, when the average person's average income can't buy the average home in America, you have a problem. And it always creates a correction. The average correction comes every 7 to 10 years. So this isn't a surprise. If you're thinking about making real estate a career, then you have 2 or 3 more of these situations to come in your life. Chris and I have already been through, at least this will be our 3rd, if you count COVID, this is our 3.5 major economic correction. You just got to get used to it and don't let it get you off being positive and being optimistic and doing your activities.
Yeah. Why it's difficult for us to not be positive and optimistic is this chart here, right? This chart is the home purchase sentiment, right? Fannie Mae goes out and surveys potential buyers, and you'll see what has happened over the last, 6, 7, 8 months. Like the home purchasing sentiment, like the confidence in buying a home has dropped. So just be aware of that. We need to understand that we're walking into consults with people that are scared to buy, are nervous to buy. They're not super pumped up about finding that home as we thought they were.
One thing to point out is the average real estate professional, even at any company in the nation, or the average consumer, they don't have access to this data. The data that we're giving you is sent directly from Goldman to their investors and to their clients. This is not being printed in the newspapers. You have access to data that really nobody else has seen. They could gather in a variety of places, but because of your partnership with Place and Place's partnership with Goldman, you get access to information before anybody else does, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Or a total waste. It's awesome if we use it. It's awesome if we take this and say, hey, what conversations can I have? It's awesome if each one of our teams, right, over the next week takes it and says, hey, how are we going to use this in our consult? What should I send to my seller? It's a waste if we rip through this and you say, that was cool, thanks, high five, let's move on. And then we're wondering why we're not pending any property. I threw this one in here because I find it interesting. The number of young adults still living with parents. And some of you know exactly what this means because your young adults are still living with you. But that is our future buyers. There are a lot of young adults that didn't make the move into a home over the last 3, 4, 5 years. And there is potential to get them into homes, right? We're up at, almost 33% of people between 18 and 34. Like, I'd like to say that's an adult, like not even a young adult, but 18 to 34 still living with their parents. When we think about that, there's a huge market for us to help into homes. Now, the affordability is an issue for sure. And that's sort of this unlock for us in our industry that we have to figure out. Like we need some governmental assistance potentially for that group. We need energy on that. We need to have conversations with them. We need to be looking for them. We need to be talking to our clients about them, potentially getting the parents to help invest in real estate. And I'll show you why in just a minute. Household formation has trended higher in recent years. Even with that group staying home, household formation is up. Now that has helped us over the last couple of years because everybody that was forming a household either needs to rent, so you have someone that wants to buy a rental, right, and rent it to one of those people, or they're looking to buy a home because they formed a household. It's also a challenge when our inventory isn't going up, right? And that is what has pushed our home values up as well. Like if we could go back and say, hey, why didn't anyone realize that household formation was trending up? Like look at it as it was trending up in 18 and 19 and 20, we just were not producing enough units to take care of those households, thus not enough housing, thus prices go up, thus this is why we're in this situation. Now, I want you to focus here because I think this is a pretty great graph. I think it's a graph to send out to our sort of legacy clients that have kids. I think it's a graph to share with people that say, no, not me. I'm not going to buy. I'm worried about the housing market going down. This shows homeowner equity since 2000 and market value of stock right? Or equity shares held by households since 2000. Now we've seen their equity go up, right? We've seen their equity go up in the stock market. Many of us sold a lot of houses to people that pulled money out and paid cash for them. But what has happened recently, interestingly enough, they have seen their net worth change dramatically with that light blue line, which is their stock equity, but their housing equity has continued to go up. Over the long term, it will always continue to go up and be more stable than even that stock. And so it's just a good graph to share, whether that be for people that might want to invest in real estate, for family members for the long term now, get that 31-year-old out of their basement and into a home. But this is a good one to share when we're looking at sort of investment and long-term wealth building, which is part of what we want to do here is create great consultants. Anything you'd share about that, Ben?
Yeah, I think there's a really important point here is if you were to go put $10,000 into your stock account and the stock market went up 10%, you would get $1,000 that year. So at the end of the year, you'd have $11,000. If you were to go put $10,000 into purchasing a $300,000 home because you did an FHA loan and the stock market went up, or the real estate market went up only 4%, your 4% wouldn't be on the $10,000 you put down. It would be on the purchase price. So you would actually make $12,000 at only 4% appreciation by owning real estate compared to putting it in the stock market. Now, that's the difference between leverage and unleveraged investing. Now, Chris and I want you to invest in the stock market and to fill out your retirement accounts, but we want you to own real estate because it's leveraged investing. It can make a huge, huge difference.
Awesome. Mortgage rates. Now, this is Goldman's target. I think Ben and I believe that we'll probably see this go up before we ever see 6.2 and 6.4 again. So we're going to have to be able to talk through what 7.5 looks like. Potentially, Ben, you believe that we'll have to talk through what 8% mortgages look like at some point in the next 12 months. But we've seen ultimately, this is a great 30-year conforming mortgage rate graph where we were up at 8 in 99, right? And 2000 and 2001 and 2002. And the reality is some of you were around there and sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homes even during those years. So yeah, we've benefited by this downward trajectory, and now we have to skill up and how to have conversations around 6% and 7% and potentially 8%. They believe that we'll be forced to bring that back down some point in 2023, but not before, right? Home values sort of begin to adjust as well. Any predictions there, Ben?
I think, the National Association of Realtors, real estate companies, even Wall Street, there's benefits for them to not be pessimistic in their planning because they don't want to create fear and they don't want to be wrong. But here's the reality. In my mind, rates will hit 8%. Jennifer, one of our BKCO loan officers, just said she already has loans that are going through at 7.5% because that's based on their credit and down payment and type of property they're purchasing. Rates will hit 8%. We're also going to see 7 to 10% reduction in prices next year. I don't think it's as low as what Goldman says. It's going to be higher. Now, what does that really mean? That means in some markets it drops by 20%, and in some markets they increase by 5 or 10%. But overall, the average is negative across the United States. It's not a horrible deal, as we're going to talk about downloading the Place Mortgage Calculator, because you can see that the increased cost of interest rates is offset by the principal reduction in the tax benefits. Even if it's more expensive to buy now in your payment, you make more money at the end of the year because you pay less taxes and you reduce your principal of your mortgage. You actually walk out ahead. So maybe you don't make $30,000 a year owning a home for the next year. Maybe you only make 10 or 15,000. It's still significant to individuals' net worth.
Yeah, I think your conversation and I made a note as we're trying to script through and ask ourselves, like, what should we know or what do we need to be able to communicate? That conversation of leveraged asset appreciation is one that we don't have enough, right? When we go out and get these mortgages, the leveraged appreciation or the appreciation of the money we've leveraged, it was not our asset, it was not our money, is unheard of, right? In our economic system. So anybody that does not own a home is not taking advantage of that appreciation, whether it's down 3% or 4% next year or not, over the course of 5, 7, 10, 15, 20 years, right? Where we should always own some home or many homes and assets. Like it's what has made the typical American incredibly wealthy. Most wealth has been created through real estate. And why? Because real estate appreciates, but also because most real estate is owned through leveraged assets. This is just good for us to know when people are like, well, we're going to relive another crash. Like the reality is the next few charts will show you why we don't believe that is accurate, why we don't believe we're going to be flooded with bank-owned properties and short sales. Will we see some? Sure, we will, because not everyone is going to make it through unscathed in any type of recession. Like there's going to be some fallout, but the fact is it will not look like it used to look because our inventory is so low, and it will always stay low, right? Not always, but always for the foreseeable future for our planning session for the next 1, 2, 3 years, because we're not going to create more inventory. So this just shows the single family homes available, both available for sale and under construction. We still have a long ways to get back to doubling our inventory. And the challenge and why we won't see that inventory pop up is right here, because the majority of homeowners, guess what? Have a fixed rate actually it's right here. Where did I put that graph?
Here's the
right
thing,
here.
is that nobody should sell their home. Your home has an additional asset today that nobody else has, called a really, really low interest rate fixed for 30 years. It increases the value of your assets having such a low mortgage cost. I think a lot of people are going to look up and say, how do I keep this thing? Or it doesn't make sense for me to even sell.
Yeah, because you look at that light blue line shows, hey, what the average American's mortgage is at right now, and then your dark blue line looks at the average mortgage rate right now. They're at about 3% below the typical mortgage, and that's why this inventory issue is around for a bit. Personal income, as we look at overall economy, is important. We look at disposable personal income per capita. That has continued to be strong, and that may change, right? As pullbacks, and we're not seeing salary increases and raises in 2022 or 2023. In fact, we've seen some pullback. We've seen a lot of people get laid off, especially in our industry as well. And so, that disposable income for now in the country remains quite high. And then this one is a good graph to show as well, as people say, hey, you know what, Jeanette, I'm really excited about buying, but if you can just set me up for a search on all distressed properties and great deals, that's what I want. I want a great deal. Well, the challenge here is financial obligations, debt, lease, right, taxes, rent, relative to incomes are staying incredibly low. In fact, when you look at unemployment or underemployment, those that have taken jobs that maybe were paying them less than they were before, they've continued to normalize from their 2020 peaks, right? When unemployment sort of jumped up. In fact, we're at historically low unemployment and underemployment rates, which means that people have the income or the cash flow or the paycheck to pay those mortgages moving forward. Maybe just a couple more, Ben. Close to 2% of mortgage properties have negative equity.
That is huge, because what that tells us is the vast majority of people do not have to sell, and they're not going to be forced into selling because of fear of being underwater. Almost nobody is negative. That is going to minimize the amount of foreclosures and the amount of short sales in the market. It's not going to come for a while. It's going to take some pretty aggressive reductions in home prices for this number to pivot dramatically.
And here's delinquency rates. And I think it's good for us we will sound incredibly intelligent when we're sitting down with a buyer or seller, when we're talking about where delinquency rates are, both for all types of debt, mortgage debt, HELOC debt, auto debt, credit card debt, student debt. You'll see that over the last few years, all of those have trended downward. And so, and interestingly enough, what's the lowest delinquency rate of all consumer debt? It is actually mortgage right now, right? And so that continues to as they say, remain benign through quarter two.
Yeah, Adam Dow said, great slide. Here's why it's a great slide. You take a picture of this, and when people say, I'm going to wait and buy a foreclosure in the future, you just show them that that's not coming anytime soon. And they're going to end up paying way more for that house in the future because of prices and interest rates and so on. It's just not a factor going forward for a while.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is just because it's labeled a foreclosure or is, and just because it's labeled a short sale or is, does not mean you're getting a deal, right? The reason why you got deals was based on all the inventory and all the homes that couldn't sell, and they had to exit that asset. Banks had to, or homeowners had to, so they had to exit, and nobody wanted their product. Like there was 100 of them on the shelf. Yeah, I'm going to buy it later. Like, so the fact is even if it becomes a foreclosure, even if it is a short sale, it doesn't mean that buyer is getting a deal, because we've already identified the low inventory, the lack of new construction, the low mortgage rates will continue to have this sort of lower inventory for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Here's the real story. And then we're actually going to get right. Like we're going to go to step 2 here. Step 1 was reality check what's going on. This to me is the real story. Chris Stewart sent this to you and I, Ben, yesterday. The FHA just put out an NAR combined and did a study on how many homes were sold, right? When you look at back in, I just won't even go to 2020, but you look at 2021, 6.9 million homes were sold. Anyone have a good 2021? Like you felt awesome. Like Ben said, hey, that's like the genius effect. Like you were a genius in 2021. Like you felt amazing. You were planning retirement in 2021. 6.9 million homes sold. By the way, that means 13.8 million sides, 13.8 shots at a commission, 13.8 potential clients across this country. 2022, we're going to end, and this season's aggressive, but we're going to end somewhere around 5.6 if all goes well. From 6.9 to 5.6. Anyone feeling that? Yeah, I know you are.
It's massive.
Some of us are. Ben, sorry.
It's just massive. There's 2 million less sides available for each one of us in a 1-year period. That's a massive change. You know, it's 20 to 30% reduction in the amount of available units. If you feel like the market is off, or you feel like you're not hitting your goals this year, this is a factor. Now you can do something about it, which Chris and I are going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah. Now that's right now. We feel that today, but newsflash, look at 2023, right? Projections show that we'll sell 4.4 million homes in 2023, potentially. That's 8.8 million sides. That is 13.8 million 2021, when everybody were building plans and strategies and budgets on 13.8 potential sales to 8.8 potential sales in 2023. If that doesn't make you take a step back and say, hey, what do I need to do different? What should I look at from budget? And I mean business budget and personal budget. What do I need to look at activity-wise? What do I need to look at schedule-wise and strategy-wise? That is a 36% drop in potential deals. Guess which ones are leaving the market? The easy ones. The 36% that are leaving, the 3.8 to 8.8, those were the easy ones. They were the ones that showed up. They were the ones that sort of came into the internet and they bought that day. You met them at the first open house, never had to call them back because they were stalking you to buy. They were all the easy ones. You know what's left? 8.8 difficult sales in 2023. And so when we get that straight in our mind, right, we move to that second step. First step was get reality check, and second step is get to work. Like we need to get to work. Ben,
we're launching. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but we're launching the Wealth Series at the end of this month for all of you, because we want all of you to get your personal finances in check. Now is a time for you to decide, what can I go without for the next 3 to 6 months so that you can save more money and take advantage of the opportunities. And all the partners on the call, we're going to be asking you, what expenses can you go without? Now is the time to make changes, right this second. And we're going to ask you to look at every single line item expense, every lead that you've been paying for that is a waste. We want you to get rid of all the marketing that we do for ego and branding that doesn't generate leads right now. We want you to put it on hold. Some of these more expensive parties and things that we're doing, I want us to put it on hold. I want us to prepare for the winter. Every single one of us. Let's get rid of Amazon or Netflix. Let's choose one of the two. Let's just make tough decisions. If you make tough decisions and you do the activities that we're talking about, you're going to come out of this winning. I know, Chris, that one of my greatest professional regrets was going with a buddy of mine to Phoenix, Arizona, where he bought 27 condos for $10,000 each in the downturn. 27 condos in a weekend for $10,000. I couldn't buy one of them, Chris. I didn't have $10,000. I didn't have the money to buy one condo in cash. I needed that money to run my business. And in this next market, there'll be opportunities. And I don't want all of us to miss out on that like I did. He sold all those for millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I want you to have that same benefit in the future if we do the right things and start doing it right now.
Yeah. So here are just a few things that I actually would like you to write down and put at the top of your page. And we're going to take you through our planning exercise. And it's interesting because you're going to see that this year we've been ultra focused on starting with a budget. Every single agent in our world, we want you to have a budget. It's in your tools. I'm going to show you how to build that out and then how your business actually connects back to it. But before we get there, we have to get to work. And I'm going to share some things that I think are important for us to remember. This came from Ben Horowitz, and he said, "This isn't checkers, it's chess." Like we've been playing checkers over the last couple, right? That's a fun game. Like you can play it with your 3-year-old, your 4-year-old, your 6-year-old. Like checkers is easy. Checkers is fun. But chess is a different story, right? Chess is complex. Chess is strategic. In his book, Ben Horowitz said, running a business is complex. Running a business is not checkers. The market moves, the competition moves, the people move. And as a result, you need to move. Like there is always a move, he said, but do you know which move is yours today? We are no longer playing checkers in this market. You got to start playing chess. 2, it's planning season. And here's what I mean by that. Nobody can live in perpetual harvest mode. And that's what we've been doing. And I'm glad we were, right? I'm glad you were there and you were here during harvest mode, because harvest mode is fun. Like it is awesome. We're out there in the fields and we're just picking all the work that we've done prior to. But guess what? Harvest mode ended, right? It's a new season. Like business goes through seasons. And right now, we got to get out into the field and plant.
Did
We
Robert
need to get
finish
out
his
into the
chores
field
or Robert's closing the dryer?
and water. We got to get out in the field and tend. We have to go out. Like it's no longer harvest time. If we're not able to take the time and realize that our activities need to change, that we have to go out and work, that it no longer is harvest, but it is planting season, then we are going to get uprooted in this market.
I had somebody call us the other day that said, "Hey, I don't think these leads are very good." So I pulled up their Brivity CRM, Chris, it was one of our place partners, and I looked at their leads and I looked at how many times their agents called them, and they called them 1 or 2 times each. And I thought to myself, how lucky have we been for the last couple of years that you only had to call people a couple times to get a $5, $10+ thousand check. This is not that time. You're going to have to work these people like it's the only lead that you have and reach out to them 5 times, 10 times, 15 times, or 20 times, because there will be a moment in time when they are ready, and we want them to remember you.
Yeah. I'll give you some real data, and this isn't awesome. But I was talking to Bob Stewart yesterday, and I said, "Hey, I wanna pull some data. If I asked you what your biggest problem in your world right now was based on data, what would it be?" And this is what he said. He said, "I tracked 140 teams in September. 48 of them had made 1,000 calls into their database.
Total.
Total. 52 teams made 200 to 1,000 calls into their database. 40 teams made fewer than 200 calls into the database. It's not harvest season anymore,
They sure
which
weren't
means we need
planning
to go out
either.
and plant and work.
They weren't planning.
No, right? We're waiting for the harvest, but guess what? There's no fruit on those plants anymore. So it's planting season. Next, be curious. This year we are going to have to be willing to be curious, and this is what that means. Don't let your ideas become your identity. Don't let what you've done before become what you always do. You have to be willing to be curious and make changes. Adam Grant talks a lot about being curious. He says we have to have the ability to rethink and unlearn. Some of us need to do that right now because we've only thought and learned in the best market that ever hit, the industry that you joined at the right time. We have to be willing to undo that and do things differently and say, hey, you know what? I know this got me here, but I'm willing to be curious and learn something new and do new activities moving forward. Next, we need to be committed. What does being committed mean? What does it mean to be committed? Anyone want to share? Go ahead and raise your hand. If you're committed, what do you do? Todd?
My little bracelet, Chris, says whatever it takes.
Mm.
That means being all in, being willing to jump off the bridge.
Awesome. Doing whatever it takes, being all in. Stacy?
Just showing up and doing the work.
Yeah, being committed to understand that I agreed to do work, I'm going to show up. And Joey, one more thought? We can't hear you, Joey.
Joey muted.
Sorry about that. Consistency. It's showing up every day and doing it. We might know what we need to do, but you got to do it every day.
Yeah.
Love that.
Interestingly, being committed means being willing to do the work. I was on a call with someone yesterday and she said this to me and I thought it was brilliant. She goes, you know, there's so much talk about working smarter. And she said, I want to work smarter. Like we all want to work smarter. But she said, we need to talk a little bit more about working harder. We're going to talk about that. Like we went through this period of time where like work smart, not hard, like work smart, not hard. Like I promise you got to work smart. Like our systems will force you to work smart. Like we've done that for you, but we need to show up and work hard. We have to be willing to do the work. Someone used the word consistent. And I want to wrap up like what we need to do now with this slide. We have to, and I've shared this with you all before, but there is a big difference between consistency and intensity. And as human beings in this industry, I promise we love intensity. Right? We all have this propensity for intensity. We like giving it our all. We love bursts of energy. We love the feeling of accomplishment at the end of a 12-hour day. We feel like we left it all on the field. We feel like, man, I just moved the needle today. It makes us feel like we made progress and have a competitive edge. And then we take the weekend off. Like, well, I put it all in yesterday. I promise you, those that are consistent over intense, if we choose consistency over intensity, those are the ones that will move, that will win. Legacy businesses aren't built on all-nighters and 14-hour days and bursts of sales calls in one day with no follow-up the day after your 1,000 dial day. Like that is not the purpose of that. Jeff Bezos started working on Amazon in 1994. A short 28 years later, the company has had made one of the largest impacts on the world. 28 years. We don't think about that. Elon Musk started his first software company in 1995, right? 1995, almost 30 years later. Mark Zuckerberg launched what's today Meta in October of 2003, a short 20 years later. Like all three of those guys, consistent. Some people say, man, they're intense. But I will tell you, they're some of the most consistent human beings you will ever meet. So are we? Are we willing, right, to play chess? Are we willing to plant? Are we willing to stay curious? Are we willing to be committed and do the work? And are we willing to focus on consistency over intensity? So, what is today about? Over the next hour, we're going to focus on you. We're going to focus on the results that you want. We're going to focus on your business, but we're also going to focus on your life plan, and we're going to focus on your finances. So let's jump in and talk about 2023. Ben, you want to start with just identifying or having a conversation of what is a goal?
To me, a goal is a promise. It's a promise that I make to myself. And it's way different than a dream. A dream is something you talk about and you make vision boards of, but you take no action. A goal requires you to prioritize, and a goal requires you to do the activities. And we're going to break that down for you today after we talk to you about the 4 different types of goals.
Yeah, so there are 4 different types of goals. The first type is where you underestimate your potential. How can that happen, Ben?
We do it all the time because we don't want to show people that we fail, and we want to create a safety. So we always give a low goal. We give a low goal that we always hit because we think hitting the goal is important. Chris, when you and I look back at our goals that we've set just in the time that we've been partners, there's lots of goals that we haven't hit during the time period that we said we were going to hit them. But most all those goals that we set out to do first, we've accomplished. It just took us a little bit longer than we thought. Set goals that make you push yourself. Some you'll hit, some you won't, but over time, every single one of them will be accomplished. Don't set the bar too low for your life.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to have the conversation that you're going to get frustrated with goals, right? Like Ben says, we haven't hit all the goals that we set. Like we've hit a few of them, and most of them we haven't. And I promise you, I'm frustrated. And I promise you, Ben is frustrated. Like that frustration is healthy, but the frustration is there because the goal meant something. The goal was meaningful. The goal had purpose. The goal was attached to a mission. And it forced us to change what we do or who we were or how we were building based on the habits or activities we had to do on our path to the goal. James Clear probably has the greatest conversation about goal setting and strategy that I've ever heard, that the goal becomes somewhat irrelevant as long as the activities to that goal we are committed to, because whether we hit this goal or not, we are on our way. And oftentimes, if we set this goal here, underestimating our potential, we'll hit that goal. And he likens it to a runner crossing a race. When they finish the marathon, they aren't going to put in an extra few miles. They are done. Like I did my 13, right? I did my 26, I did my 5K. Now where's my food or my beer, right? Like, and it's wild to me. Like that's the reward at most end of marathons, but no one's continuing to go. So be careful that the first type of goal doesn't become an underestimation of your potential. The second type is we create an artificial ceiling. How can we do that? How does an artificial ceiling show up, Ben?
Meaning, Chris, that we underestimate our true potential. Is that what you meant?
No, the second type of goal is sort of creating this artificial ceiling. And oftentimes those artificial ceilings come from, I've seen them come from other people, right? We look at what other people have done. We look at someone else's situation and say, well, they've only been able to do this. And so we actually create this ceiling. Maybe no one's done it in your marketplace. Maybe no one has made that kind of income as a showing partner. And we set these artificial ceilings for ourselves. And actually then we get quite good with those artificial ceilings. I think one of the greatest conversations around this we've ever had as an organization was a couple of weeks ago when when we got to have Michael Phelps on stage. And there were some artificial ceilings in the swimming industry on what could be done humanly in a pool. Like, how fast could someone win? Think about the 4-minute mile. Well, guess what? So someone just ran 26 miles in Berlin, 26.2 miles in 4-minute, 20-second miles. Like, there were artificial ceilings on what was possible in a marathon until that human just blew that up. So oftentimes our artificial ceilings comes from what we see around us, what we've always done. It isn't even our potential, it's other people's potential or role potential or industry potential, which leads us to the third type of goal, which is we're unrealistic or a dreamer. And why do we have to be careful there? Given what you said around goal 1, Ben, what is the danger in goal 3?
Well, you're always disappointed, or you get halfway through the year and you want to quit. I think there's no goal that is unrealistic if you have a plan in place to hit it. The only type of unrealistic goals and dreaming goals are ones that you don't have a plan. Now, I've seen a lot of people in my career that are really big thinkers. Most of them don't accomplish anything because they're thinking so often 10 or 20 times ahead of where they are today, and they get frustrated when they're not getting there, so they pivot all the time to something different. I've always thought in any situation of my life, I can do double what I'm doing now. So if I did 30 sales last year, I knew I could do 60 this year. If I sold 100 last year, I knew I could sell 200 this year. If I saved $1,000, I knew I could save 2,000. I could always do double. Find a realistic goal that you can actually tie a plan to, and it'll work out.
Yeah.
Which is number 4.
Yeah. And the only way that 3 is a statement and not a farce is you are unrealistic or you are a dreamer if you're not willing to attach an activity or a plan to what other people say is unrealistic or other people say is a dream. You immediately disqualify unrealistic and dream and make it an actual real goal if there's a plan attached. And number 4 is you create plan-based goals, right? That's the 4th type, which actually eliminates or crosses off 1, 2, and 3. So over the course of the next bit of time, we're going to talk about business goals and financial goals and personal goals, all of which are wildly important. And then we're gonna create over the next couple weeks this plan to achieve them. Here's the most important thing for us to hear as we're setting our goals and plans this year, though. Achieving goals comes down to, especially if it's a different goal than the year before, and even if it's the same goal based on the market moving or the industry moving or people moving or consumers moving or competitors moving, you will never be able to achieve that goal if we are not willing to do something different. In order to achieve something that has not been done before, that you have not done before, you have to do something that you have never tried before. So as you build out your goal and your priority and your activities, if they're the same activities as you committed to last year, stop putting a different goal this year on the piece of paper. Like Michael Phelps said, he said, well, I wanted to break world records, which means that had never been done before. So I had to look at what everybody else was doing or what I had done up to that point in time and be willing to do something different. And the only thing he saw as something different was, instead of practicing 5.5 days, he would practice 7. He practiced 7 days a week for almost 6 years straight. And that was the different that caused a different result, which was the world record. So my question internally to myself, and I hope for all of us, is, okay, great. If my goal is different this year, if my goal is different than how I showed up this year versus 2023, what below that goal becomes different? What activity is different? What goal have you not hit that you've been setting for yourself year after year after year after year? What activity have you not done that, if you do, could change the outcome of that goal and move us to achievement?
I love when you and I learned to plan, Chris, we learned to create a GPS: goals, priorities, and strategies. And what I think we learned over time was, you got to have goals, and you got to break those down into simple priorities. But strategies are a thing that we wrote out and we weren't really committed to. When you and I looked and said, we're going to change it, we're going to have a GPA, we're going to change from strategies to activities, it's because we wanted things that we knew we could do on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think that comes from we're both humans that say, hey, tell me what I need to do to get there, and I'm willing to do it. Like I will do anything. Like I'll do hard things, I'll do easy things, I'll do high level things, I'll do anything. Like, but I just need to know what that thing is. And strategies were ethereal. Strategies were kind of like, oh, they sound good. Like they're exciting to write down. It makes us feel like we're moving the ball forward. But then we got a month in or 2 months in or 3 months in, and it said, hey, generate 20 deals from Sphere. Awesome. That's a great strategy. Like, interestingly enough, all that is a source, but there was no activity that got us there. And what you'll see now is we have built a tool for all of you to actually not have to question the activities necessary, the work necessary in order to hit the results once we build out our goal. So we're still going to use this formula, right? You know, how many homes will I sell? What volume will that create? What GCI will that create? That's your main goal. And then I'm gonna have a priority. I'm gonna have a buyer priority, a seller priority, and a growth priority. Like, and maybe you only have 2 priorities. Maybe you're all buyers. Maybe all you do is work with sellers. That is perfectly fine as well. Then you will have activities related to that one priority. Maybe it's 3 activities, and you can hit that priority with 3 real activities. Don't think you have to fill in 4 or 5 if you don't need them. But the model is set. So you have a goal, you have 2 or 3 priorities, and you have 3, 4, or no more than 5 activities related to that one priority.
Can I make a comment, Chris?
Yeah,
I want to make a comment why priority 3 is, in my mind, required. Because if you knew what you're supposed to do and you were doing what was supposed to be done, right? You've been the person that you needed to be. Priority 1 and priority 2 would already be happening. And priority 3 is about what person do you need to become? What habits do you need to create? What knowledge do you need to learn? What skills do you need to refine so that priority 1 and priority 2 become easier? Priority 3 is a little bit more of the fun one. And I just want to beg all you to try to keep that growth priority of becoming a better person so that you can grow at the momentum that your potential actually has.
Yeah. So here's how we're going to do it this year. The first thing you'll be receiving is a business planning preparation guide. Now, this is a workbook for every one of us to print out or do digitally, but it's going to take some pre-work. And actually, let me just real quick walk you through that and how to look at it. I'm going to share this if I can real quick with you. And I'm not going to go page by page, but incredibly grateful for the team for putting this together. We had this last year as well. And some of you used it and some of you didn't. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. There's a process that we're going to go through before we ever begin filling out our toolkit, which I'm going to show you as well. But in this guide, you're going to be walked through some business planning steps. There's 5 steps that it's going to take you through, step by step by step by step by step. I shouldn't go past page 2 without just thanking Jolene for so much work going into this as well. And obviously everybody around her in the team, but there were some crazy late nights and early mornings with me, Jolene. So thank you. But this is going to take you through step 1, initiating a purpose-driven mindset. How do we think about goal setting and planning for the future? And there's going to be a series of questions that you're going to ask yourself. No one's going to do this for you or with you. So if you skip it, you've chosen to do that. You're going to build out what you would prefer to see as your perfect day. Is yours going to look like mine? Probably not. Is mine going to look like yours? I'm sure not. But everybody is going to build out a perfect day and understand what a perfect day is. We're going to write and journal and brain dump around what is important to us in 2023. And then we're going to go to step 3, which is beginning to create your goals, your priorities, and the activities for 2023. Now, there's specific steps in there as well, and this workbook will walk you through it. You're going to have to know your numbers for 2022. So we're going to look at where we are today. What do we project out for 2022? What will my net income be? What transactions have I done? Listings taken, listings sold. Like, if you've been tracking, you should know all these. If you don't, newsflash, we're going to track differently next year, aren't we? And you're going to go to your team leader and say, hey, I need some help on some of these numbers, because I assure you they know it, but I hope all of us do as well. We're going to look at some of these numbers and we're going to fill that out. Then we're going to look at what we said we were going to do. What did we say we were going to do? What did we do? By the way, how do you feel about that? Like, what is the gap? And we're going to go and do this gap analysis. And based on what we said we were going to do and what we did, where did we fall short? Why did we fall short? Now, we skip this oftentimes in our planning session. And I'll share with you, Place as an organization is getting together on Monday and Tuesday of next week. And guess what? We're going through the same process. What do we say we're going to do? Where did we fall short? What is the gap? Why did we fall short? It's an important process to understand before we move on and set our goals for the next 12 months. So then you're going to fill out this, right? What are my goals for next month? Net income, closed transactions, appointments, sales, number of days I'm going to work, average hours a week I'm willing to commit, total contacts I need to make, right? And I'm going to show you how to figure that out in just a minute. And then step 4, right? We're gonna go through the rest of business planning after we do this workbook. So you're going to go through that workbook first before coming into our toolkit. So now let me show you the toolkit.
Chris, can I ask a question real quick?
Absolutely.
When are they receiving the workbook?
Today.
It's going to be sent out to everybody.
Yes. So here's what's going to happen, just as a frame of reference. I was going to do this at the end, but you're going to get a workbook today to begin working through. I'd work on that over the weekend or maybe on Monday. Next week, with your leadership, with your leader, your team leader, you're also going to get, probably later today or over the weekend, a toolkit. And here's what that's going to look like. Be ready, because
As you're preparing for that, when I was in high school, I was a wrestler, and when you're a freshman, everything was hard. But as you got to be a senior, you were doing push-ups, and if you touched your knee to the ground, the coach would make the entire team start over, and he would yell, "You're only cheating yourself." As a senior, when you're strong, you would drop to your knees and you would just screw with all the freshmen, because then they'd have to do more push-ups, and you could do it, but they couldn't. Here's my point. Don't cheat yourself, as my coach would say, by not actually taking this serious and filling out every box and giving yourself an hour of private time to really think about this. Please just go into chat and promise me that you're going to take this seriously and you're going to fill out every box and you're going to come prepared to your team planning week next week for me. And if you don't, say I promise, you're an asshole. Okay, keep going, Chris.
Not the word I would have used. So what I'm gonna walk you through now is the process that you're going to go through. Each one of you is going to get a personalized Place Agent business planning toolkit for 2023. On the bottom of this toolkit, you're going to see pages. Each page is sequential, and you're going to go through this in the order it was designed. The first one, what did I say mattered? Was a budget, right? You're going to build in your budget. What are your yearly house payments, whether that's a rental or a mortgage? What does your yearly grocery bill look like? How much recreation and entertaining happens? This is editable, by the way. You can change the categories, you can increase them, you can add. You're going to understand what your monthly budget might look like. You're going to take out for taxes. It's going to show what you annually need to make and what you personally need in order to pay your bills. Now, for some of us, we got this down, like we've done this before. Others, we've never done it before. This then is going to show you what your expenses are. You're going to fill in what do you pay your brokerage, or what cap, royalty, office fees might be in there. You're going to pay, fill in some other business expenses as well, right? Personal expenses, business expenses, the car payment, business expenses, any marketing that you might do. Most of you will have zero there, right? Insurance you might be paying for. You're going to get your total business annually and total business monthly, which gives you your grand total. Now, I'm going to show you this demonstration off of this just example of what someone's budget might look like. After that, you're going to show what your gross commission is per deal, what your net commission is per deal after any splits you might have, and it's going to show you exactly how many deals you need to do, right? Your net commission divided by your grand total, what you need to survive. This person needs to close 24 homes in order to survive. That's 2 deals per month. That number is going to come up later, so we need to do this first. Oftentimes, we set our goal and it has no relationship to our budget. And so there's no reason, no motivation, no purpose in selling 20 homes or 30 homes or 40 homes or 10 homes or 100 homes. So you're going to take that, and then it's going to ask you, hey, do you have a different annual goal than your closings needed? Most of us have a goal outside of necessity, right? Like we need 24, but my goal might be 30. I just picked that number, which means you'd have 6 additional closings. And then this is going to calculate for you how much additional or discretionary income might you have based on that plan. And then you get to put in what you want to do with that money. Maybe it's saving money for your first home. Maybe it's a vacation. Maybe you want to use that for a luxury, which might be a housekeeper, or maybe it's daycare, or maybe it's something else that you've been saving for. But it's going to allow you to just do a budget plan. There, I want you to start there. Step 1 is the budget plan. Step 2 is path to net profit. Now, these are all editable. You're going to put in your average sales price. You're going to put in your average commission. Maybe it's not 2.75. Maybe it's 2.5. You're going to put in your split. Maybe you average a 40% split with on your team. Maybe you're at an average 35% split with your team. You're going to put in the split to the brokerage. If you're at a brokerage, that takes a percentage of your commission, right? Maybe you have a brokerage cap of 10 grand, 5 grand, 7 grand, 20 grand, whatever that might be. Some brokerages charge royalty. You're going to put that in as well. And over here on the right-hand side, it's going to tell you exactly how many transactions you need in order to get that income. Right? So it's going to show your total volume, total GCI, your partner GCI, when the brokerage is paid off, when your royalty is paid off, and what your net is. So for instance, if I wanted to come down to my net and make sure I was breaking even to that 148,000 or that 150,000, guess what? Like on those splits, you need about 40, 41 deals. So this, right, is editable. You're going to put in your specific economics, and you're going to get exactly how many units you need to sell. Now, next page, you may use or you may not, depending on what your business is, but we have a listings needed calculator. How many transactions do you want to close to reach your goal? What is the fallout ratio of your deals? That adds 10%. You can edit that if you wish. What percentage of your closings will be listings? Maybe it's 50%, maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 90%. This is going to take you through a series of questions to tell you how many listings must you carry at all times to hit your goal, right? You don't want to say, well, I need to close 15 listings and this arbitrarily say, yeah, I need to go take a listing. I need to go take a listing. I need to go take a listing. This says if you are at all times carrying 3 listings, it takes in average days on market. It takes in fallout. It takes in your percentage of conversion. It tells you exactly how many listings you need to carry at all times. That means if this is my business and I wanted to sell those 30 homes, I need to have 3 listings on the market at all time in my current market based on average days of 45. If that changes to 60, guess what? That might adjust as well. And then you'll see what we've done the most work on. And let me actually make this smaller. Don't worry, I know you might not be able to see this, but you're going to take those 30 deals and you're going to populate where you want those deals to come from. This is one of the most important parts of your business planning. This is your agent economic model. So I just arbitrarily pick some, right? I'm going to move this over here for a second. Let's say I wanted to close 30 houses and I wanted 10 of those deals to come from my sphere. And I want 10 of those deals to come from open houses. And around those open houses, I'm going to circle prospect and door knock because that's what I do. And so I hope that I get a couple deals from circle prospecting this year, a couple from door knocking, and I'm gonna really try to improve my brevity and web lead conversion. I want to close 6 deals from that source. That leads to 30 deals. Now, if my goal was 36 deals, then I might need 16 from my past clients. If my goal was 40 homes, I might need to get 14 deals from open houses. And here's what's happening while you put in the sources of your business. It's going to give you a breakdown of agent activities that you need to achieve your desired results. It's going to tell you how many annual calls you need to make, monthly calls you need to make, weekly calls you need to make based on your activities over here. How many door knocks you need to make, how many open houses you need to host, how many appointments you need to host based on some conversion ratios. Here's what I want you to see. These conversion ratios are not arbitrary. These conversion ratios were built on us pulling data out of Brevity, us pulling all the data that we had on all of our call days, our 100,000 dial days. Thank you, Fred, and everybody that contributed. It was by going to all of our top team leaders and pulling conversion ratios as well. Some higher than this, some lower than this, but these were those averages. What were our conversion ratios for past clients and spheres? How many calls do we need to make contacts? How many open houses do we need to get 2 nurtures? How many nurtures would lead to an appointment? How many appointments would lead to a closing? Here's what I'm going to share with you. These are all editable as well. These are real. You don't have to edit them, but maybe you're brand new and you say, gosh, I just started. So I think it's going to take 4 open houses to get 2 nurtures. Today it might. Adjust that if you will. And what that's going to adjust is your activity schedule down here, right? It's going to adjust how many open houses you need, how many circle prospecting dials you need to do. It's going to tell you how many doors you need to knock, how many expireds you need to call. This will build out, if expireds is part of your plan, this will build out your activities. You're going to get a list of actual activities you need to do based on the goals up above. Questions about that? That's awesome, but you're not done. Because from there, you need to move over to your agent partner GPA. That is your goals, priorities, and activities. And we need to now fill in, what are my priorities for my listings? What are my priorities for my buyers? What are my priorities for my growth? Like Ben had suggested. But here, instead of strategies, we're going to go to our agent economic model and say, well, gosh, I need to call 8,000 calls, right? I need to make 8,000 circle prospecting dials in order to get 800 contacts to get 8 appointments to close 2. And that is going to come into play in your activity. So you're going to know you're going to have prospecting, right? Let's see, you're going to have your sphere. You're going to have open houses. And you're going to begin building out your sources, the activity for that source, and the unit expectation of that source as well. Now, I'll show you in the toolkit you're going to get, you can click on example agent GPA. This is not a copy and paste exercise, but I built one out for you to be able to see what does a GPA look like for an individual that wanted to close 30 houses, right? How many appointments would they need to go on? What would some of those activities be based on what that schedule or that agent partner GPA just shared with me? I also built a quick one for a showing partner. Maybe you support another agent and you're going to build out activities for yourself to support that agent. Well, maybe I'll host open houses for that person. Maybe I'll commit to the call nights for that person as well to help build that business. Maybe I'll build my sphere to 250 this year. Maybe I will spend 5 hours a week in the pond looking for future buyers for my partnership with the lead agent and the showing partner. So there's an example agent GPA, an example showing partner GPA. And then ultimately, over the course of the next couple months, right? We want the GPA done over the next few weeks. And over the course of the next couple months, then we're going to build out our business and life plan. And that GPA is our first step. It tells us annually what we need to do. But then this business and life plan is going to say, great, what part of that am I going to knock out in January? And I'm going to,
You left the car in his back.
Thank you, Christina. I'm going to write down what are the 3 things or 4 things or 5 things I'm going to do in my business in January and my personal life in January. And then I'm going to break it down by week. And then each one of these is a tab for your month with 4 weeks. So it's going to build out your actual plan based on your GPA, which got built by your agent economic model, which ultimately got built by what your profit needs to be based on your budget. This toolkit will be specific to you. You will have a copy. I would share it with whoever coaches with you, your team leader as well. You'll get this specific to you, a copy of it, and your plan will be in there. It'll allow you to see, are you on plan or not? Am I hitting those conversion ratios or not? Do I need to adjust my activities or not after being 2 months into activities and seeing the results that I'm getting? If we're having conversations weekly and monthly and quarterly, we'll never get too far off of plan as long as this toolkit shows up on our desktop or on our phone and we're looking at it every single day. What did I commit to do? Am I doing it? Why am I not doing it? What got in the way? What do I need to learn? What am I going to do now? Those questions I ask myself every single week. So that is a quick rundown of the toolkit. Ben, anything you want to add or specifically share around that toolkit?
No, I'm just blown away at the amount of content and how much of an improvement this is from last year. This is next level.
Okay, so let me jump back in and if you're taking notes, I'm just going to go through this one more time real quick so we know the sequence and we can feel good about like, what are my next steps? Today, at some point, you're going to get the workbook, and that's sort of self-work. That's really narrative. That's sort of you sketching out what happened this year and what you want different next year. That's going to be some deeper work. And then you're going to get a toolkit at some point over the weekend that you're going to work on next week. The first step of that toolkit is your budget allocation form, building a personal and business budget. So that's some work for you to do. From there, you'll move to the path to net profit. You're going to figure out exactly how many deals you need to get to that net profit in order to make that budget a reality, plus anything that you want to save or anything you want extra, all right, to beyond survival. From there, if part of your business plan is taking listings, you have a worksheet to work through. How many listings do I need to carry at any point in time this year? How do I make sure that I'm starting January with those 3 or that 1 or that 5 or that 9, depending on what your goals are? From there, you're going to work out your economic model. And that economic model is going to be based on those conversion ratios, real conversion ratios from across our network over the last few years. We pulled real data. Again, if yours is different today and you want to make adjustments, you can in your copy. In fact, maybe there's 6 agents, 10 agents, 15 agents as part of your team. Your conversion ratios might look a little bit different than the person sitting next to you, but you still want to make sure that those are accurate so that your activity levels are real. I also want to adjust one thing right now, because I think if your conversion ratios have been phenomenal and you're worried about the market that you're in right now, adjust them down. Don't go high. You may adjust those conversion ratios and say, hey, I was getting 2 real nurtures from every open house. I think I'll probably get 1. Great. You might have to double the open houses in order to get those 2 nurtures. So instead of 1, you might be doing 2. You can adjust that in your chart, and it'll tell you exactly the activities you need to do. Next, you're going to build out your GPA. You're going to take those activities and you're going to say, what activities showed up for my listings, right? Priority number 1, or my buyers. What showed up for my sellers? What showed up on my growth plan? What do I need to learn and grow in order to execute that plan? And then eventually you're going to build out your business and life plan for the future year. Now, I'll share one quote from James Clear. James Clear says you get credit for action, not preparation. So all this is amazing, right? Like the preparation part, like I love the excitement. Even in our Facebook chat last night, like, man, it's my favorite day of the year. And I'm excited it's your favorite day, but I hope your favorite days of the year are 365 days of action, because preparation, we get no credit for. We don't get credit for excitement around preparing. We get credit for the action. And that is why we really wanted to focus on performance this year. Am I performing? Am I showing up and doing that activity? The entire toolkit was redesigned to focus on not strategy, but activity. What activity or what work do I need to do to make sure that those goals are hit, those results are hit? So right now, as we focus on moving forward, we just need to make this commitment, right? We need to make the commitment to take action. Ben, I'd love for you to maybe walk through sort of your thoughts around this sort of next series of slides around lead generating and lead converting as we think about the future. You had sort of shared sort of your thoughts or opinions on what it's going to take, beginning with this one.
Yeah, we have to set a standard to work our sphere every day. There's an old saying that says there's diamonds in your own backyard. And I want you to all to understand that your sphere, your friends, family, your neighbors, your doctor, the person that cuts your hair, they already know you. Most likely they already like you. And that means they already trust you. Don't work so hard to cold call people that you've never talked to when you aren't even asking the people that you know for business. Make a commitment every single day to ask 10 people, just out of curiosity, do you have any real estate related plans for this year? Just out of curiosity, do you have any real estate related plans for this year? Make a commitment to ask people that question wherever you go. Dear Lord, please. Set a standard to follow up with the leads that you already have. I want to ask our teams to, hey, be careful on how many new leads that you're giving your agents when your agents aren't even working the old leads that they have. Chris already shared with us the number of dials that the teams are making as a whole. It's embarrassing. Those dial numbers are what one of you, Brandon and Ryan Rice and Deldy, you should be making those dials yourself. Just those numbers are what you should be doing. Text those people, email those people, call those people, look them up on Facebook, send them a LinkedIn message, peek through their bathroom window if you have to. Find a way to get in front of these people and help them experience the dream of home ownership. We have to set a standard for ourselves to prospect and to grow our database every single day. Why do we do open houses? Why do we circle prospect? It's not to get a deal that day. It's to add people to our database. It's to add people to our database. Be obsessed with adding people to your database from open houses, circle prospecting, networking, door knocking. Just be obsessed with it. Then promise me that every lead that you get is going to have a market report and a listing alert. This year, we're dramatically expanding the functionality of market reports to have things like rental data, average interest rates, refinance information, what they could rent their home out for on Airbnb. All that data is getting built in there. Get ahead of it and get everybody you know on market reports and get everybody you know on listing alerts. You got to follow up with people more than you are actually comfortable doing. Get it out of your head that you bother people. You aren't bothering people. We help people. Don't let them work with another real estate agent in your market who isn't going to care about them as much as you. Be committed to bothering them so much that you help them experience the perfect transaction.
And when we do that, right? That leads to incredible performance through those partnerships, right? Technology partnerships and coaching partnerships and activity partnerships. Ben, I wonder if we can transition. Maybe just take a moment outside of the business planning and maybe talk a little bit about what we are planning for in the coming year with all of our place partners. You want to start by addressing sort of agent health insurance benefits?
Sure. We rolled out something that nobody in the industry has ever done. A lot of brokerages roll out a crappy group buy-in program where agents can go in there and buy insurance that could probably get off the shelf somewhere else. But nobody, literally nobody, unless you take a low-paying job at Redfin, has rolled out an employee health insurance plan like Place has. This health insurance is available to any agent who in the previous 12 months had closed 25 transactions or done a total of $250,000 of GCI, 125 of which is paid into Place. This health insurance, vision, dental, healthcare, Place, and your local partner, we cover approximately 85% of the cost of the health insurance. You cannot be turned down if you have a pre-existing condition, and you can add your children and your spouse if you want to. All you got to do is earn it by doing the units and making a plan. This is next level, I promise you all. It covers everything: office visits, telehealth, preventative care, ambulances, inpatient, prescriptions, outpatient, chiropractic, urgent care, emergency rooms, probably even get a massage out of it. That's how good it is.
John says you can. One of my favorite things over the last year was getting messages from some of our partners. If we go back to why we did it, it was truly to promote the health and welfare of agents in our world, and not just dealing with tragedy and unexpected, which we had so many messages and conversations around that it did that, but it's there for preventative as well, making sure that we're taking care of ourselves. And so many entrepreneurs don't. One, because they don't want to spend the money. Two, because they never had health insurance or good health insurance. But please take advantage of that. We'd love to see a world where 60, 70, 80, 90, 100% of our agents are on this plan. Why? Because our platform drives productivity, which is going to increase your financial world and your financial health. But we want to make sure your physical health is there as well. Another program we rolled out this year was revenue share, Ben.
Yeah, another unique thing that's been built in our industry. Some brokerages have created revenue share or profit share, but nobody's created one as generous and potentially profitable as the Place revenue share program. All you have to do is find somebody in the US or Canada that's interested in a career in real estate or would like to switch the organization they're with, and all they have to do is join a Place team. And if they join a Place team, you'll earn 1% of that agent's GCI in perpetuity. Let's look at the math screen real quick, Chris. That was not the screen that I had there yesterday. That's really rough. I apologize. Let's not look at that screen, Chris. It's driving me crazy. I'll tell you what it is. I have the math right here.
Do you want to screen share yours?
No, I got it. Basically, if you brought in one agent who only did 24 transactions and had a price point of $350,000, you'd make $2,500 off in a year from that agent. If you found 10 agents over the next handful of years that join Place, either your local team or any team in the US and Canada, you'd make an extra $30,000 per year. And what's really exciting, in a second, I'm going to tell you something I'm working on. I can't 100% promise you, but I think I'm going to be able to do this. I haven't told Chris about this yet, but I'm really excited. The revenue share program becomes an additional leg of your stool that could be the down payment that you need every year for that next investment property, that house, or it's going to fund all your vacations, or it's going to max out your retirement account. All you have to do is tell people that you love your job, that real estate has changed your life, and that they would be good at it. That's it. Anywhere. Pick the people who are going to be on your team or help your friends across the US join another Place team, and you're going to get rewarded generously. Here's what's interesting. The #1 revenue share earner last year was a director of ops. because that director of ops said, I want to take responsibility for posting the job ads and doing the career nights. And when people join, can I get credit for revenue share? Yeah, if you post the job ads and you do the career night, you could do it.
That
I
makes
mean,
me so
we're
happy.
talking tens of thousands of dollars available. It's quite life-changing. Let's go to the next one, Chris.
Here's a big one.
Performance through partnership. Chris and I have been calling each one of you partners for a long time, and we work and we behave that way every single day. But what we did, and this is coming directly out of Chris in my pocket, is we're launching the Partner Stock Purchase Program. One more slide, Chris. Let me explain it. Any agent or staff member in place as of January this year will be able to purchase shares in place in our holding company. You can contribute between 5 and 10% of your salary or commission earned in 2023 to the stock purchase program. Place is going to discount the shares by 20% off of what Goldman valued the shares at a year and a half ago. Can't guarantee it, but in Chris and ours mind is that the shares are worth a lot more than they are today than they were a year and a half ago. But we're valuing the shares for all of you at last July's or June's value when Goldman made us the offer. Goldman valued our shares at $3.41. Your price to purchase the shares are going to be $2.73. In addition to the 20% discount, Chris and I have made an agreement that for every 10 shares that you purchase, we're going to give you 2 on us. And that's called a matching program. So for instance, if you were to contribute $10,000 to the employee stock purchase program, you could purchase 3,663 shares, plus Chris and I are going to gift you 732 shares matched by the company. Of course, there's some vesting. You got to stick around for a period of time for those to get transferred into your account. All these shares are valuable at the point of an IPO. You can't sell them or trade them prior to that. So you're in it for the long run with us. The enrollment period is going to start this fall. Details will be sent out to all of you, and you'll all make a commitment in December if you want to be a part of it. But here's something that nobody knows. I'm talking to attorneys right now to say at the end of the year, you can make a decision to contribute 100% of your revenue share to the stock program and buy stocks at 20% off and get a 20% match. So for those maybe ops people that say, hey, I don't want to contribute any of my salary this year, if you make money in revenue share, you'll be able to convert those dollars directly into shares of stock at the end of the year. Now, I haven't got a final answer, but we're pretty sure that that's a possibility. Every one of you are going to have the benefit of our future potential IPO. And I'm excited to call all of you partners and all of the owners. Anything you add to that, Chris?
No, I think that our goal is to have every single person on this call, if they're within our organization or part of any one of our organizations, in that program. So there's some chat like, how about this person? How about the ops person? How about an LO? How about the answer is yes, yes, yes. And our goal is to be able to roll that out and begin enrollment in December of this year. So be looking for that. And I just think it is us being able to create a new opportunity to build wealth together. It is a thank you for the loyalty of every agent on every team here at Place, and a thank you for the future loyalty in what we're building together. And it is hopefully a demonstration of what Ben and I view as the true definition of what partnership is.
Now, those shares, when they sold, Chris and I are going to take the money and we're going to buy Ferraris and ranches, and I'm going to get my nails done, and we're just going to buy lots of stuff for ourselves. No, actually, any money that transfers goes into the Place operating account to expand services that are offered to Place. They don't get distributed back to Chris, myself, or to Goldman. So this is not in any way benefits us. This only benefits the organization. Okay, let's keep going, Chris. Now, a bunch of you have said, hey, I want to invest in real estate and I want to own bigger things like apartment buildings or commercial buildings. So this over the next couple months, we're going to be announcing the Place Investment Club. And the Place Investment Club is where you can contribute a fixed amount of money, let's say $5,000 or $10,000, into being a member of the club. And us as a group, we will take that money and we will go out and we will buy apartment buildings or commercial buildings or houses, rent them out, and we will be owners in real estate together. This investment club, it's still going through legal, it's still going through accounting, it's still getting all the final approvals, but we're pretty sure that we're going to be able to roll that out, at least to agents that have hit partner or senior level status with our company. You'll be able to invest in something like this. Now, a lot of people create things like this. Normally the way they do it is they have everybody else put money in, and then they don't put any money in. So if Chris and I are owners in real estate with you in this, it's because Chris and I put our own dollars in there. There's no additional benefit to Chris and ourselves for rolling out the investment club. This is just a way for all of us to not just own stock together, but to own real estate together. Laura said, who will direct the investment? Here's the thing. The members of the club will be presented the properties around the US, most likely that Place agents have sent us. And we will decide by doing the math together and teaching you all how to value properties, which property we'll buy. We'll buy the property, manage it, pay returns. As it grows, we'll reinvest the money, buy another one. If this is successful, we'll launch another club soon after. Keep going, Chris. In order to buy stock, to buy your first home, to be a part of the investment club, you got to get your finances in order. So what we're doing is we're relaunching the Wealth Series soon, in the next couple of weeks. The new Wealth Series is for you, your clients, your friends, your sphere, anybody you know. It is a 16-part course for you to go through 100% free and learn about wealth building. It's double the size. The prizes we're giving out for people that are being a part of it is double or more of what we've done before. There'll be prizes for kids that go through it and adults, and the education is going to be next level. I hope you all take the time to register winmakegive.com/wealth. Remember, it's free, and then encourage all your friends and family, if they want to take a free wealth building course, to take it with you. And there's some great training and stuff we'll roll out in the next week that Bethany and some of our people have been building out for all of us. So really, really excited for that. Keep going.
We're going to do a quick, maybe 5-minute update on some of our technology with Josiah, and then we'll wrap it up with a welcome. We're going to welcome Chris Stewart to the call as well.
Josiah, are you still there?
I sure am. Hi, everybody.
Awesome. Walk us through some of the new things, and I'll probably chime in and tell everybody why it's important.
Sounds great. Well, I think the conversation we were having earlier, all these great tools that were shared on the call, they're all going to lead towards our centralized place for everything in our technology solution, right? In Brivity. So for example, you're going to be able to take that path to net profit, the listings needed calculator, the agent economic model, all those numbers, your scratch pad, and plug them right into Brivity in the very near future here for goal setting, right? So you'll be able to say, my personal production this is an opportunity to measure and watch as you track over time. Are you hitting your standards? Are you hitting those goals so that you can make the money you want to make to have the life you want to have, all in one place in Brivity?
So let's stop for a second. Josiah, quit rushing the plate. I want you to track your open houses in here, every open house you do. And when you track your open house, you're going to mark how many hours you did it, how many people came, and we're going to give you reports. You're going to know how many open houses it takes to generate X amount of leads and how many of those leads actually turn into a closing. And you'll be able to calculate the amount of money you actually make per hour hosting open houses. The same thing with door knocking, the same thing with outside dialer activities. And you're going to set goals for all of these activities. So when you log in, we can see how you're performing. The next level is we're actually going to compare you against the rest of the agents on your team and the rest of the agents in the nation in some sort of a semi-anonymous way, where you're going to actually see where you ranked in the US and then Canada based on your activities, and how does that compare for income and so on. Go ahead, Josiah.
So for the agent dashboard side of things, this is when you enter in your production goals, right? Units, volume, GCI. What do I need to do to have that life I want? You can track that. You can track that over time here, and you can see, hey, so far my net income is going to be X, and I have this much pending income, and then the next 30 days I'm estimated to make this much, and how am I on track for my income goal for 2023 for next year, right? You'll be able to see goal versus actual for units, volume, GCI here, as well as a quarterly overview. This is based on agent feedback by talking to lots of people across place. Your closing breakdown, closing by lead sources, and then a monthly overview down below with the list of all your transactions.
Every single day, you as agents will be able to log in and say, how am I doing? How am I doing compared to my goal? How am I doing with my activities? How am I doing with my revenue? This is next level. Nice job, Josiah and team.
So we committed with Ben a couple months ago to create a new template and marketer every day. That means our design team is delivering value every day for you to promote your listings, to help grow a team if that's your goal, to celebrate team wins. And we have these exclusive listings or listing designs, recruiting designs, even value props of place in general. There's even mortgage ones in here, right? So now you can log in to Marketer and see these exclusive place templates that nobody else gets. We just pushed this one out yesterday. Shout out to Alex Day to help design this one, our luxury home tour template, right? It's a double-sided, beautiful flyer. And the beauty of Brivity Marketer is all the MLS data is in there, right? So you just click the one you want and it auto-generates this beautifully designed template, flyer, whatever you need, and you can use it. And it's been designed by our professional team, so it saves you a lot of time.
Josiah, every agent in the organization can access Marketer and create videos for their listings, videos for their open houses, social posts, flyers they want to download, all that stuff. Where do they go in CRM to get here if they've never checked this out before?
Yeah, if you've never seen Marketer, in your CRM on the left-hand side, there's a tab that says Marketing. You click that and it says Marketer, and it'll launch the whole dashboard here where you can access all these materials. Door hangers, you can even get business cards printed in here, all in one spot.
Love it. Keep going.
This is an exciting new project that we recently started on, and it's moving quickly. So here, this will actually allow you right within your CRM to look at an agent or an office in your MLS and click on their name and see their production details, right? So you could click on the person who listed 123 Main Street, John, and see, oh, wow, he has 56 total listings. He has 3 active listings right now. Wow, John's a pretty good agent. And Ben, what would we do with this information? Why is this useful to us? All right, I'll answer the surprise there. What do we want to do with this, right? You can look who the top performers are in your market, and you can talk about why joining Place is a great idea, why joining your team is going to make a difference in their life, right? You can actually size up the competition right within your CRM now and see, hey, who should I be doing deals with? Who should I be having coffee with? Who should we start conversations with? I'm pretty excited about this one.
I think go back one. Each one of you have an opportunity to grow in revenue share, and this will give you some ideas, some great agents to reach out to. But also, we're always negotiating. We're always writing offers on listings, and we're always receiving offers. It's a good way for you to look at the agent and say, what kind of an agent am I working with? Do I need to double check because they haven't done a lot of transactions, or they do a lot? So I think there's a lot of tools built in this that I think a lot of you will actually use to help your negotiation and to give you better research on the people that you're competing against. Keep going.
And there you go, Lacey. Great for referrals as well. That's smart. This is live now in your Brivity Go app. How many of you are using Brivity Go on the go, right? This is a map that shows right up on your home screen that says, where are the leads near me? You can click on it and you can see near your location for pop buys, for deliveries, door knocking, whatever. Anybody in your CRM who is near your physical location. Just another way to make it easier on the go to interact with the people in your world.
I mean, literally open up the Brivity Go app, no matter where you're at, click the map, and you can see every single lead that's in your database, whether it's an address only lead, one of your friends' sphere, one of your current internet leads, or one of your past clients. So when you're in the area and you want to stop by and knock on the door, drop something off, you're gonna know exactly where they're at. It's all live. It's already in your app. You can use it right now.
Yeah, it's phenomenal for opens as well. Like when you're out there, you can see everybody around there. You can reach out to them in advance. I'm going to be in your neighborhood. Do you want to stop by? Oh, you've connected about potentially selling. Come and look at this home. You're a buyer. Come and look at this home.
And then very, very shortly, we're launching a place branded search app for all of you. So when your customers download the mobile app from Listed Alerts and from the websites, it shows place, shows your picture, your name, your branding, etc. Anything else on that, Josiah?
You nailed it.
Lastly, I just want you all to make sure you download the Place Mortgage Calculator app. It's the most important app that you can have on your phone. One, it's how you refer people in to get them pre-approved with our in-house mortgage company. But two, using the calculators, it's easy for you to show them that interest rates aren't the most important factor in their home purchase. Appreciation, principal reduction, and tax benefits are a huge deal, and it might overweigh any change in interest rates.
And there's a great question. Will the two apps be merged? Yeah, I would imagine that when we have our Play Search app live, it will also include these mortgage tools, right? But for today, the mortgage app is what you should have downloaded.
Josiah, thank you. Thanks for all the hard work the entire team does as well, and continued vision and growth, and for just sharing some of the future of what's rolling out as we speak. So now we're going to transition. We're going to wrap up this business planning day with a message from our president, Stu. I asked him to come in and get us geared for a conversation around performance.
All right. Thanks so much, Chris, Ben, Josiah, and many thanks to the team. And I know it's been said, but a lot of hard work behind the scenes to put all this together, and I'm super excited for it. So I'm going to change the energy up just a little bit and bring us home. So if you need a little bit of change of energy, I encourage you, just stand up. Just stand up. Maybe you've been sitting down for the last couple of hours. Just stand up, and you're going to be in alignment with the energy that I'm going to bring right here. And, you know, as I talked to Ben and Chris about this presentation, you know, and I thought about our theme, performance through partnerships. You know, the first vision that popped into my mind was the relationship between high-performing athletes and world-class iconic coaches. And it's really that undeniable bond that gets created by the very best teachers working with the very best students to push each other to excellence. And I realize that for some people, you know, using sports analogies for business situations may be overused, or perhaps you're not into sports, so some of the references and comparisons get lost. But just stick with me here for the next 10 or so minutes. I believe there's some great takeaways, even if you're not a sports fan or don't follow all of the icons in athletics. And the first takeaway for me in the reference made between business and sports is the fact that amongst the very best athletes and the very best high performers in business, there is a common denominator. And that common denominator is the fact that both are insatiably focused on being coached. You know, the best athletes, as we heard from Michael Phelps last week or 2 weeks ago in Phoenix, they have technical coaches, they have mental coaches, exercise and fitness coaches. Ben in the Wealth Series is a financial coach for us. But high performers, they're constantly looking to find small edges in all aspects of performance. And they're relentless in their pursuit of feedback. And they're very demanding of their coaches and leaders to receive that constant constructive direction. They don't pretend to know it all. And remember, when you think you know it all, your slide to mediocrity has already begun. Being coachable to me means that you have a desire to fine-tune the fine details. You're vulnerable and open to someone else's definition of what's possible. As Chris said earlier, you're a builder. In other words, you're willing to relearn and adopt better techniques. So we all must be coachable. And for those that would say, but Stu, I'm my own worst critic. I'm I'm harder on myself than anyone could be. I'm going to call BS on that. That's BS, because we don't have the ability to see ourselves in every dimension. We all have natural blind spots in our ability to self-assess. So having external advocates to push us to achieve our very, very best is really part and parcel of achieving excellence and becoming a high performer. One of the legendary coaches in the NFL, Vince Lombardi, says, winning is not a sometime thing. It's an all the time thing. You don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning, therefore, is a habit. But here's the thing. Unfortunately, so too is losing. Losing is a habit as well. And the second takeaway, the second reason I believe sports are such a useful reference to business performance is because both sports and business, particularly small businesses where there's not a bureaucracy, small businesses, which we're all running, there's not a bureaucracy. There's not a lot of room for politics. Like sports, both run on a common system. And that system is a meritocracy. And a meritocracy is an organization or system in which people achieve success based solely on their abilities, not because of any other external factors such as favoritism or money or position or social status. We achieve because of what we do. Again, key theme today is action. See, in a meritocracy, our raises become effective when we do. And once you know the rule of any system, you can game it, right? That's kind of the key thing, is how do you gamify a system? And in one word, how do you gamify a meritocracy? In one word, it's action. And like any other system, a meritocracy has a currency. In a capitalistic system, what's the currency? Dollars, money. In a meritocracy, that system has currency too, and the currency is called GSD. You know GSD, right? Get stuff done. Stuff I put in there for Chris Suarez's benefit. Ben might use a different S word. You can use the S word of your choice, but your GSD, that's the currency of a meritocracy, right? And when you're GSDing, you're winning. Again, winning is a habit. So complete the action. Don't just start it. You got to finish it. You got to get it done. So when we ask you to door knock those 20 homes closest to one of your sales, you're GSDing. Turning over your database every 2 to 3 months with calls and conversations, you're GSDing. Pre-marketing your open houses and following up on your open houses, you're GSDing. And when you're GSDing, you're actually submitting an IOU to yourself into your bank account. And that cash will show up in the following weeks. So game the system. GSD is your currency. And I'd love nothing more to see a hashtag GSD movement for all of us beginning today and carrying us through next year. And so throughout my life, there have been many coaches and athletes that have inspired me as I've looked to transition their leadership in sports into my own ambitions and goals professionally. And the first is Coach Pat Summitt from the University of Tennessee. Coach Pat Summitt is an icon for me because I actually thought my little sister was going to go play basketball for Coach Summitt at the University of Tennessee. My sister was an awesome basketball player. She ended up taking a different path, but nonetheless, I was always rooting for Coach Summitt. I followed her career very closely. When she retired from coaching, Coach Summitt had won more national championships in Division I women's basketball than any other coach. And she was only second in total championships in college at that time, but behind the all-time leader, Coach John Wooden. In fact, in 2000, Coach Pat Summitt was named the coach of the century. She was the best coach in 100 years. And Coach Summitt said, here's how I'm going to beat you. I'm going to outwork you. That's it. That's all there is to it. Despite the fact that Coach Summitt arguably had the most talented athletes in all of college basketball join her team because of her legacy of success and championships, she never relaxed her standard of hard work. She never said, I have the best talent, so we'll let them roll out here and beat you. No, she never said to her players, I'm this great coach, so you should come here and perform at your best for me. You should be privileged to play for this program. No, she worked incredibly hard and then transferred that focus and hard work and the discipline that came with it into her program, her fellow coaches, and the immensely talented athletes she recruited, which was the reason they produced 8 national championships. Coach Summitt, in my opinion, was at the mountaintop of GSD. And as I said, the winningest coach in all of college basketball is Coach John Wooden, a literal legend from UCLA. And I want to point out that college coaches, to me, have a very different and probably more challenging job than professional coaches, and one that's therefore more relevant for us because college coaches have to actually recruit athletes to their program and then develop those athletes and the programs that they're running, whereas professional coaches are more about economics, drafting and trading athletes versus selecting and developing. And it's unarguable that Coach John Wooden was the best to ever coach Division I college basketball. He was the head coach at UCLA for 12 years, and he won 10 national championships. And Coach Wooden said, you can never make up for a lost day. Don't think you can make up for a lost day today by working twice as hard tomorrow. And by the way, if you're able to work twice as hard tomorrow, why aren't you working twice as hard today? And that's the key. In a system where GSDing is the currency, your best friend is finishing activities. Don't lower your own standard because you're sabotaging your own results. And ask your team leader to push you to see just how high your hard work threshold is. This is the value of being coachable and asking those around you to push you, see just how high your GSD ceiling can be. And my final sports reference, my favorite athlete of all time, Serena Williams. If I could meet and spend time with any athlete, it'd be her. And I love her because the world told her and her family that they had no business pursuing a career in tennis. That's what they told her. Don't do it. You're not going to be successful. And you know what Serena said? She looked around and said, hold my beer. And she went out and kicked everyone's ass. She went out and won 23 single Grand Slam titles, more than any other man or woman in the current era of professional tennis. Serena said, I always believe I can beat the best. I can achieve the best. I always see myself in top position. So I encourage all of us to treat our business planning efforts as a visualization exercise as well as a planning exercise. And in my opinion, it all starts with the vision that you have of what you want to achieve. And remember, your self-vision, in other words, the quality and size and detail of the vision that you're creating for yourself and your family is 100% shaped by your own self-confidence. Your self-confidence. And once you have great self-confidence, then it's about your commitment to yourself and your team to take that massive action. GSD the hell out of everything that you approach. Work hard and finish. And finally, you will perform the way that you see yourself. Your vision of yourself is paramount. So get up every day and reinforce your own self-confidence through the massive action that you took yesterday. That's confidence. And the massive action that you're prepared to take today. Chris and Ben, back to you.
With that.
Well said, Chris. Killed it. Chris, I'm so jacked up. Let's just start the call over and do it again.
We got another 2 hours.
I don't know what you want to end with, but I have a couple comments. One, we're doing another Built How in March or April. Put that into your plan and budget so you all can be there. 2, we're going to do our first state of the company since COVID, the day before Built How in our next city, which is where we give out revenue share and where we reward agents and where we recognize performance. So we hope all of you can find a way to get there. Lastly, Chris, there's a whole bunch of people that are trying to mimic what Place does in the industry. But I want to be real clear. There is no other place in the industry Place has 600 employees that are working behind the scenes to support you. Most of these organizations have 6 or 10 or 20. Place has $100 million set aside to protect all of us. Place has 100 software developers. We actually built our own technology. Place has the #1 agents from most states and most brands and companies, either with us or joining with us at the moment. We're building something different that all of you get to be a part of. And it's so important that all of you realize how impactful your contributions to Place are, and how much of a change Place is going to be the industry. And I just want to thank you all for being a part of this thing. It's different. Everybody is noticing Place. I hope you all are feeling that momentum, but everybody is talking about Place, and everybody's noticing Place. They're noticing our technology. They're noticing our services. Soon they're going to notice what we do for the consumer as Stu leads that charge for us. And Chris, I'll let you end us on a really high note.
No, I think I'm good, and we all are. I would just ask everyone to play all in, right? In 2023, but especially over the next couple weeks as you go through that workbook, please just don't use it as an exercise. Please play all in. As you go through your planning and engage with your teams and your coaches, please play all in. And ask yourself, are you willing to make the commitments to the activities that it's going to take to play all in? Like, we all contribute here. Every one of us is important to the big vision and the mission and the overall goal. It's why there's no other way we would have built this organization other than through partnerships with almost 1,000 right people, and actually well over 1,000 people on the call today, because many of you, which is awesome, are with your teams and your groups and your organizations. But I would just say right now it's critically important to show up and to play all in. And with that, we'll let you get on to your planning and your Fridays and your weekends and your sessions next week.
Have an amazing week, everybody. I'm excited for Business Planning Week. See you all next week. Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Incredible.
Thanks all.